Today on Around Kansas, Deb Goodrich joins us from the Western Kansas Wildlife Travel Center in Oakley. Next, in our wildlife segment, we are talking the wild weather of Kansas with Jesse and Vera Post from Wicked Storms. Then our friends at KFRM bring us a new segment, On The Front Porch. Ron Wilson is back with his cowboy poetry, and Deb ends with a story about the battle at Punished Women's Fork.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com.
Welcome to the Western Kansas Wildlife Travel Center, right here in my hometown of Oakley, Kansas. We're the front door of Western Kansas, located on three main highways, I-70, US 83, and US 40. And all those roads lead to history, beautiful scenery, and adventure, no matter which direction you go. We now have an IHOP. That brand that you've trusted up and down the road in all your travels is staffed with local folks, real people, just like you and me, and we're waiting on you to join us. So for fun, adventure, fuel up, fuel your body, and let's have some fun.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center. Your stem cells, your health, your life.
Good morning and welcome to the Western Kansas Wildlife Travel Center. You'll hear a lot of background noise, I guess, because there's always a lot going on. Try to find a quiet corner, but with the IHOP and all the folks stopping in, it might be hard to find a corner quiet enough to film in. Now, it's a pretty relaxing stop if you're on your travels and don't mind hearing the announcements in the background. So just a lot of people that love stopping here. And we're on the second floor where you've got the wildlife displays, and I love seeing the families come up here sharing those things with the kids. There's a lot of wow expressions when they come up here. Well, folks, as we just keep saying, time just keeps moving along, and there's just so many things going on. And the summer is, it's going to be gone before we know it. All that heat that we've whined about is soon going to be replaced by some chilly weather. So it's when I really love getting outdoors, and there's so much to do outdoors. And remember, Kansas Outdoors, the website. So check that out if you are looking for hiking opportunities and all those things along the way. Please check those out. So this is one of our sponsors for Around Kansas, and we appreciate them very much. And we invite you to come to Oakley and see all the other things that we've got going on here. This is a great place to start your trip, and then you can head anywhere in Western Kansas you want to go. South to Scott City, north to Oberlin, west to Wallace, west to Colby and Goodland. The roads will just take you anywhere. You know what? So much stuff coming up. Want to give you a heads up on this one. September 12th through the 15th, Dr. Jake and I are headed over to Colorado Springs for the annual Order of the Indian Wars Conference. And I tell you about that every year, but I can't tell you just how awesome that group is. Visiting sites this year, we're going to Sand Creek, and of course the massacre site, and of course the connections between Kansas and Colorado. That was Colorado territory when the massacre occurred, and just years earlier it was Kansas territory. So again, those borders are kind of imaginary at times, and with certain events. So that's going to be a fantastic conference and tour, and just urge you to take advantage of so many of those things that are offered. The conferences, the guided tours, with especially the National Park Service historians, who are absolutely the best. I know Jerry Green is going to join us on this trip, and he's just the go-to guy on so many things. So just give you a heads up for that, and stay tuned. I will share more of that with you as time goes on. Another great show for you today. Thanks for joining us. Stay with us.
Fort Wallace was the fightingest fort in the West. Fossils, Indians, soldiers, scouts, wagons, trails, pioneers, stories. Discover the story of Fort Wallace and the people who served here, the people who fought here, the people who settled here. Wallace County, where the past is present.
Sure Crop Fertilizers was started by my father, Don Sherman, and my mother, Shirley Sherman. Family business that started in the 80s. We predominantly focus on plant nutrients and what we can do to give growers better responses with the fertilizer dollars that they do, and what we can do to make those things work better for the grower. We're based out of Seneca, Kansas. We work with growers in their soil analysis to figure out what they need, and then we can put those in a blend that gives them the best results, and so that we can deliver that direct to their farm so that they have those nutrients where they need them, when they need them, and so that they can apply them in a manner that's very efficient to them and works well in their planting systems and what they're doing. Sure Crop Fertilizers has been around for a long time. We always say we're big enough to take care of everything you need, but yet we're small enough to do it quickly. You can get a hold of us at 1-800-635-4743. Our website is surecropfertilizers.com, and you can always email me at Corey@surecropfertilizers.com, and with any questions you have, we're glad to answer it and work with you.
Next time you see a beautiful field of corn, reach out and thank the farmers who work tirelessly to raise corn for livestock feed, renewable fuels, and exports to feed a growing world population. The farmers on the Kansas Corn Commission work for Kansas Corn with grower-funded checkoff dollars that support foreign and domestic market development, research, promotion, and education to expand opportunities for Kansas farmers. To learn more, visit kscorn.com.
This segment brought to you by the Western Kansas Wildlife Travel Center in Oakley.
When it comes to wildlife in Kansas, nothing is wilder than the weather. And thanks to Jesse and Vera Post, that dynamic husband and wife team of storm chasers and professional photographers who help keep us safe and at the same time share some pretty incredible images.
Another day in that beautiful state of Kansas. We are in the never-ending southern breeze out here in the wide open plains. We love the state of Kansas. Every time we're out here, we're filling our camera with all the beautiful sights. Today we're going to pull up on the chalk monuments, which native Kansans know about, but it seems there's not a lot of people in the world that really do know about this little gem, and that's one of the best things about Kansas. They have these hidden little places that are so beautiful. Just about to pull up here. This is West Central Kansas. Again, we're going to fill up some of our cameras, smart cards and memory cards, bring people some of the sights of Kansas. The chalk monuments, very beautiful sandstone configurations here. Hello everybody, today I wanted to introduce myself and my wife. My name is Jesse Post. This is Vera Post. We wanted to tell you a little bit more about what we love to do here in your beautiful state of Kansas. We are photographers, actually we're photojournalists. We do a lot of reporting for the weather that happens out here, especially in western Kansas. Today, we're here in the chalk monuments. This is south of Oakley. It is a state park. There is public access to it, although it is on private land overall. I advise anybody come out here and check out this scenery here. As you know, some of the strongest storms on Earth occur here in Kansas. The storms develop out in the Rocky Mountains, come out into the plains, and absolutely erupt. Some of the strongest storms on Earth form here, and I love to get my chance to document it or capture it with the camera. We love to help people stay ahead of the storm. But with that said, some of my favorite places to photograph and document is between Goodland, Kansas, and Amarillo, Texas. These flats out here, the updrafts, the storm cycles, tornadoes, hail cores, the lightning visuals, absolutely astounding. We love Kansas and advise anybody, if you can do it in a safe way, come out and admire some of the atmospheric phenomena that happens out here. I look forward to the next 25 years or so of documenting, even researching, and alerting people to what's happening out here. A lot of times, even when the tornadoes are over, I'm still out here tracking hail cores of lightning and damaging windstorms that are happening when people are thinking it's still safe, and yet it's not. I love to photograph storms, the weather, topography, the wildlife. My wife here is a very good photographer for many years. She also does weddings and portraits. We have a lot of photography we love to do out here, and we look forward to providing the visual aspects of what's happening around you day or night, and especially through the spring and summer. So with that said, I want to introduce you also to my website, www.wickedstorms.com. Whenever you get a chance, give yourself a little while because I have a lot on there. Check out my website and you'll see a little bit more about what we do. I'm on Facebook, very avid on Facebook. Again, my name is Jesse Post. This is Vera Post. We look forward to providing you with the visual displays and the observations that we see out here in the very beautiful state of Kansas. Thank you very much.
Welcome to the Western Kansas Wildlife Travel Center, right here in my hometown of Oakley, Kansas. We're the front door of Western Kansas, located on 3 main highways, I-70, US 83, and US 40. And all those roads lead to history, beautiful scenery, and adventure, no matter which direction you go. We now have an IHOP. That brand that you've trusted up and down the road in all your travels is staffed with local folks, real people, just like you and me, and we're waiting on you to join us. So for fun, adventure, fuel up, fuel your body, and let's have some fun.
Kim Mannering with Hardy Insurance. Today we will talk about employee safety and work comp coverage. On your farm, do you ask your friends to come help? Are they considered employees or neighbors helping neighbors? Did you know that you can be held responsible just as if it's a work comp accident? Give me a call, we can discuss. 316-945-6733.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
ValleyVet.com, ValleyVet.com, Valley Vet Supply.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Corn. Learn more at kscorn.com.
This is Kyle Bauer. My guest today is Tom Holmquist. He is a farmer and writer in the Småland, Kansas area. Småland, Kansas appears to have stole the name from Sweden. It's a community between Salina and Lindsborg. What generally happened early on as people got there is they established a church, both in a building and as a cultural group.
There was a particular man who was named C.J. Brodeen, and he was a lay missionary within the Lutheran Church, and he was the leader of the group that came out, led this group, and they arrived by train in late February of 1869, and they came right out here south of Salina and started to establish their homestead. They built dugouts, sometimes sod houses, and a few of them then went up into the Smoky Hill Bluffs and carved out stones and made a few stone houses. But this Brodeen, he had a bigger mission, and he wanted to see that there was a church and really a community established here. So he went around to all the different homesteads And most of these people had been in the same church as him back in Illinois. He called them together for a meeting, and they met in the second week of June of 1869 at his homestead, made plans to form a congregation. One of the first decisions they wanted to make was what to call this congregation. And Brodeen suggested that the name be Salemsburg, which translates from the Swedish as peaceful mountain. From peaceful mountain, what he was referring to was that this truly was the end of their journey, that this is where they were going to find a home and spend the rest of their lives.
So the church today is at the same location it was originally?
It was, and it still remains there today. The first thing that they did then was to organize this church and then to build a building. So, of course, there are no trees here at that time, and so they went to the top of a nearby hill, just a slight rise above the rest of the valley, and they started to dig, and they dug a dugout church, half underground and half above ground with sod. And so the first church that was here was what we still refer to as the sod church.
And how close is that to where the modern church is today?
About 20 steps to the south.
Now, we've talked about Smolin and we've talked about Lindsborg. Where does the church lie from any of those towns?
From Lindsborg, it is 8 miles north on what we call the Burma Road. And you come over the hill and you see this magnificent cathedral standing alone out in the countryside on top of this hill. And it is a beautiful sight to see.
Does it still operate every week?
It does. It has a congregation of nearly 600 people. The pews are full every Sunday. It is truly the center of the whole community out here between Salina and Lindsborg. There are no businesses anymore and such, and not even a gas station in Smolin. The whole community really centers around the church.
My name's Karen Cope, and I have multiple sclerosis. When you have MS, on the outside you look great, but you know what's really going on in the inside is chronic body pain, chronic fatigue. And there's lots of days that I'd wake up and say, oh, please God, help me get through this day. You know, after stem cells, Chloe, my youngest daughter, she was asked by my father-in-law, how's your mom doing? And Chloe said, Grandpa, I've never had a mom like this before, because she was 8 when I was diagnosed, and she really had no other memory of me but being sick. It's really the simple things that we do as a family, like play cards, and to be able to win at cards. You know, they all laugh because I used to repeat myself and say, what hand are we on? You know, where are we at? And it's just been really a true blessing from God, and we're really thankful.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
This segment brought to you by the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Cowboys love to train animals. Sometimes the animals can train us. This poem is entitled Horse Training. On a hot summer morning, I walked out to train a young horse we were teaching to ride in the rain. The flies were a-buzzing in the hot morning sun as I walked to the barn with my 2 little sons. One said, Dad, you see those 2 horses right there standing together like they were a pair? They get close together and that's how they graze, but their heads are facing in opposite ways. So the head of the one's by the tail of the other. Why did they do that? He asked me and his brother. I said, you're a mighty observant young man, and I'll answer your question the best that I can. You see, there's lots of flies around this cow lot. They're a natural pest that we've always got. The horse uses his tail to shoo off those flies like I do with my hand if the need should arise. but the tail is too short to reach that horse's head, so they've learned they can partner with another horse instead. They can stand close together, one's head by the other's tail, then they can shoo the flies off each other without fail. So that's why the horses stand together that way. Now go in the barn and get 'em some hay. While the boys did their chores, I stopped and I thought, there's a message for me in that lesson I taught. If horses can learn to cooperate too, there's no limit to what we as people can do. There's some things a person can't do as just one. When we work together, so much more can get done. If we partner together, which is really my druthers, we'll share the rewards as we serve each other. It's a mutual benefit that we can treasure if, like all those horses, we all stand together. It was time to begin that pony's training lessons, but I looked at my kids and thanked God for my blessings. At supper that night, my wife says to me, "How'd that training go for the new pony?" I said it went well, but not in the usual way. My kids and my horses taught me a lot today. Happy trails.
Watch Ag AM in Kansas online at agamandkansas.com.
Next time you see a beautiful field of corn, reach out and thank the farmers who work tirelessly to raise corn for livestock feed, renewable fuels, and exports to feed a growing world population. The farmers on the Kansas Corn Commission work for Kansas Corn with grower-funded checkoff dollars that support foreign and domestic market development, research, promotion, and education to expand opportunities for Kansas farmers. To learn more, visit kscorn.com.
Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture, represents grassroots agriculture. The state's largest and most powerful farm organization stands up for its members through leadership development, agriculture education, legal defense, environmental advocacy, farm safety, and risk management. Members also enjoy money-saving benefits. To join our organization today or to learn more, go to www.kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
What if sustainability were synonymous with U.S. soy? If energy efficiency, water quality, and soil health help define U.S. soy's value, that future is here, the time is now. To meet end-user demands, the soybean checkoff is committing to sustainability that's achievable, worthwhile, and enduring. A message from the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff. Progress powered by Kansas farmers.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture. To join today or for more information, go to kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Driving along Highway 83 north of Scott City, the prairies break into occasional bluffs, the grass is short, and yucca dots the landscape. Even with these hints, however, you can't help but gasp when you turn off the road to the west and drive down into historic Scott Lake State Park. Yes, down. The road wides down the hillside. The scenery and abundant wildlife, the sunrises and sunsets over the lake, the incredible history within its confines, all beckon the visitor to stay a while. This corner of Kansas has many stories to tell, and today I will share just one, the battle at Punished Woman's Fork in 1878. There are enough tragic stories in the annals of the Plains Indian Wars to fill volumes. Sadly, this story is among them. The Northern Cheyenne had been moved from northwestern Nebraska and bordering South Dakota to the Indian Territory. Conditions were deplorable, and they decided to go home. Historian John Monette calls it an exodus, as we refer to the children of Israel fleeing Egypt. Most Kansans of the day called it something else. The Dodge City Times covered skirmishes with the band of Cheyennes in their neighborhood. The Red Devils, the wild and hungry Cheyennes, commit murder and arson. Several herders murdered, a house burned down, wholesale stealing of horses, an Indian fight, 3 soldiers killed and 3 wounded, the border wild with excitement, straggling bands of Indians raiding everywhere, another Indian skirmish, an Indian killed, a soldier wounded, immigrant trains robbed, 4 companies of cavalry ordered to Dodge. I will not do the disservice of reducing that event to a couple of lines here. Let it be said, Lewis was mortally wounded and died en route to Fort Wallace, and the Indians' horse herd was destroyed, a devastating blow. The most significant effect, however, lay in the attitudes on both sides, leading to pressure from the public for real protection and a more violent and personal response from Dull Knife and his followers, resulting in the brutal raid near Oberlin. This is a story you must experience. Visit Punished Woman's Fork, adjoining historic Scott Lake State Park. Visit the Jerry Thomas Gallery at the El Cuartelejo Museum in Scott City, where you will find photos and artifacts, along with Jerry's incredible art. Visit the Last Indian Raid Museum in Oberlin. Read The Northern Cheyenne Exodus in History and Memory by Jim Leiker and Raymond Powers. Read Tell Them We Are Going Home by John Monette. The story is far too rich and complex for sound bites, but I will leave you with a couple. Lewis was described by a friend as the most tolerant and least prejudiced man I ever met. And when dull, nice people reached the promised land and were imprisoned for crimes committed along the way, he responded that if the authorities try to send us back, we will butcher each other. Let us never, ever forget these were real people, not just dusty photographs.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com.
Fort Wallace was the fightingest fort in the West. Fossils, Indians, soldiers, scouts, wagons, trails, pioneers, stories. Discover the story of Fort Wallace and the people who served here, the people who fought here, the people who settled here. Wallace County, where the past is present.
My name's Karen Cope, and I have multiple sclerosis. When you have MS, on the outside you look great, but you know what's really going on in the inside is chronic body pain, chronic fatigue. And there's lots of days that I'd wake up and say, oh, please God, help me get through this day. You know, after stem cells, Chloe, my youngest daughter, she was asked by my father-in-law, how's your mom doing? And Chloe said, Grandpa, I've never had a mom like this before. Because she was 8 when I was diagnosed, and she really had no other memory of me but being sick. It's really the simple things that we do as a family, like play cards, and to be able to win at cards. You know, they all laugh because I used to repeat myself and say, what hand are we on? You know, where are we at? And it's just been really a true blessing from God, and we're really thankful.
Watch Ag AM in Kansas online at agamandkansas.com.